Hi guys, it's Michael Sidgwick here from WhatCulture.
And I'm Ben-Roy from WhatCulture.
And coming up today we have 3 stories of differing juice. Firstly, a concussion sadly suffered at the detriment of last night's TLC main event. A dream match, not something I've ever dreamed of, being teased on last night's TLC kickoff show, and a new look for a top WWE star. This is the news. That's the thing Will warned, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he does that.
This is the news. The first bit of news, get rid of that flippancy. It's actually really quite a grim situation. At last night's TLC pay-per-view, Kairi Sane appeared to suffer what looked like a significant head injury, likely a concussion, and it kind of says something about the state of that match last night, that main event, that we can't accurately determine where that concussion actually happened because it was incredibly violent and deeply, deeply disjointed. Now, there's a few schools of thought on this. We don't have the latest update on when specifically it happened, but at one point during the match, to set up a table spot, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair removed the monitors from the announce desk, started throwing them around for a big theatrical visual, and one of them seemed to have landed on the back of Kairi Sane's skull. In another moment, Charlotte Flair delivered a suplex to the barricade, following which Kairi Sane's head seemed to splatter the concrete below. This kind of accelerated the train wreck nature of the match. It completely fell apart. At one point, sadly, Charlotte Flair went to deliver a spear to Kairi Sane. She couldn't bump for it at all. I think she didn't because she couldn't. Immediately following it, if Charlotte Flair had an iota of a clue what had happened, it's a bad thing. I must think that she didn't because she slapped her immediately afterwards. And another point, Charlotte Flair went to deliver a powerbomb to Kairi Sane, and God bless her, she used every ounce of remaining power in her body to make this look good. Unfortunately, it couldn't, but what a warrior for going through this. It seemed pretty obvious to everybody watching what had happened, so it's unclear why she was not removed from the match. Bit of a concern there. Ben-Roy, what are your thoughts on this?
So it seems like a real shame because they're trying to recapture the magic from last year's TLC event, which was like, everyone thinks it was awesome. And there was like this going build that we had coming out of the Women's Revolution to perhaps we're going to get a main event, and at WrestleMania we had Charlotte, we had Asuka, and we had Becky, all proving that they could like take this brass ring and run with it. And then this year it seemed to sort of fail at every step, and now we've come out of it with like what is probably a really major injury, and it's going to really put a stop to the Kabuki Warriors. And now we don't know what's going to happen with the women's tag titles after this. It's just going to be a bit of a shock, really, I think.
Yeah, I think you're touching on something there that's a little bit damning to me, that in the process of trying to go one-up on last year's absolutely spellbinding, brilliant main event, I just seem to think they tried to get far too much stuff in. It was trying to be brutal for the sake of it at times. It looked far too casual, particularly that monitor spot. I mean, you can't control the trajectory of a weapon. That's why they tend to be struck and not thrown at people. Yeah, we don't know the latest on Kairi Sane. She looked like she was in deep, deep trouble. Unfortunately, we here at WhatCulture wish her all the best in what is presumably going to be a recovery process of unspecified length. Yet a real shame for the Women's Revolution. There's been 3 matches this year that have headlined pay-per-views that have completely underwhelmed, but this one was kind of, there was an excuse, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
And you also say that, like, throwing the weapon, like, it's always a great visual. Like, everyone loves to see something thrown, but like, it can so easily go wrong. Like, even when like you throw the stairs and they look like they're made of tin foil, but you catch them on the wrong corner, something like that, just going to go out like that.
Absolutely. There's only one weapon off the top of my head that should be thrown in a pro wrestling ring, and that is a dustbin, nice and aluminium, no jagged edges, nothing too heavy about it, from JBL at Hornswoggle at WrestleMania 24. That's usually my limit on what should get thrown. Yeah, it's such
Belfast Brawl. That's all you need to throw. Is that in a Belfast Brawl?
Underrated WrestleMania match. But yeah, what a goddamn shame that was last night. And I hope Kairi Sane, because she's done so well to get over in an unnatural heel role. She's a completely organic babyface. Maybe this could expedite a babyface turn, but even that would be a shame. She's a great heel. Kairi Sane is the greatest, and it's such a goddamn shame. So from serious, kind of nervy news to something I never thought would happen, even in this great year of our Lord 2019, which has been defined by just completely bizarre developments all the way through. On last night's TLC kickoff show, apropos of nothing, the Revival sauntered up to the panel, at which they started to verbally berate Booker T. And even though this guy's not been on anybody's lips for years and years and years, they also saw fit to bury his brother Stevie Ray, thus setting up what is rumoured is a match between the Revival and Harlem Heat. Now, Cage Match tells me that Booker T has had a sole match in 2019, working for his own Reality of Wrestling League, at which Stevie Ray also wrestled in 2017, but we're talking guys that are way past the prime. They've already been inducted into the Hall of Fame, so there's no real cross-promotional opportunities. I can't see how this is possibly going to be good, but it's very on brand for a weird WWE 2019. Ben-Roy, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's just going to be, if we do get it, which it looks like we will get it, it's going to be gimmicky Booker T walking around as he sort of does in his like sort of slow stances. Not going to be any major bumps. We're probably going to get more of allusion to King Booker than anything else sort of thing.
Immediately, it's great.
Yeah, because everyone now loves King Booker because it was a great character, but it just, probably wrong time. But I don't think we're going to get much of the Harlem Heat stuff. I think it's more going to be focused on Booker T doing some of his Booker gimmicks and maybe something they can talk about on backstage. Or maybe we get the Revival just jumping on a backstage. I don't know. But I think it's not going to be more than, say, 5-10 minutes, and it's going to just so they can get more heat for backstage.
If I'm being cynical, and it would be very on brand for me to be cynical, I think there could be a little element of the Revival, who seem to be departing WWE in the spring of next year, getting a little bit ascensioned. We were there when they were debuted. They got buried into the core of the earth for having the temerity to dress up like the Road Warriors in accordance with WWE scripting, which seemed to work JBL into a shoot. This is getting very JBL heavy, this news. It's the JBL pollen
I don't
that
know what
you
it is.
give to me.
Yeah.
This guy, if you don't know him already, he's got the worst taste in wrestling. He loved the ruthless aggression era above all else. He loves Legacy. He loves Randall Keith Orton. So I'm just getting JBL in my head from this guy. But yeah, it's a very strange thing and possibly a heartwarming moment for Harlem Heat, which doubles as a, right, okay, if you want to leave so badly, we will make it so that you want to leave yesterday, but haha, you're not allowed. You have to wait until spring. What's Jeff Jarrett and the Road Dogg doing next month? They can have a go as well. Hey, we'll get the Ascension back to bring this whole thing full circle. Now,
what if we get the Brothers of Destruction, or maybe was it the Graveyard Dogs, or even DX?
They've already been bantered off by DX, so we've already seen that before. And finally, it's not really and finally because it's not that much banter, but it kind of is banter because it's happened at the worst possible time. Now, at last night's TLC pay-per-view again, Bray Wyatt versus The Miz was a really strange on-the-nose storytelling match where The Fiend was acting conflicted. Is he The Fiend? Is he Bray Wyatt? Does anyone even care at this point? Was it a good match? Absolutely no, it wasn't. But at the end, following Bray Wyatt's victory over The Miz via Sister Abigail, there was a tease with the arena lights going black, dun dun dun, as we usually see. However, it wasn't The Fiend, because they're the same person and he was already at the ringside area. It was Daniel Bryan making his return from what's rumoured to be a complete flap at the idea of this creative sucks, I want no part of it. Give it a couple of weeks because I don't want to wrestle The Fiend so soon again. I'm presumably thinking my eyes still hurt. Now, Daniel Bryan wore a hoodie for the occasion. He rocked Bray Wyatt with a Baisuki knee, and then he took the hoodie off, and he's 2012, sexy as hell, Daniel Bryan all over again, harkening back to the look of the American Dragon. And I don't think you people will ever realise how much I love this man. I flew from Newcastle upon Tyne, England to New Orleans, Louisiana for WrestleMania 30 for the express purpose of seeing this man realise his dream, and I felt zero excitement because at the end of the day, it's going to be a match with Bray Wyatt, and he's had 3 or 4. No, the Bryan match was good, which should inspire some optimism, but 3 absolute turkeys on pay-per-view. I've got no real hope for this. How can the screw up, shaven-headed, hard bastard Daniel Bryan? I've got no idea. It's a bit like if Kenny Omega decided to revert back to the salt and pepper in AEW when he was the coolest wrestler on the planet on the back of getting taunted by, I don't know, Peter Avalon or Michael Nakazawa or something like that. What do you think of his new look? Where do you think the storyline is heading between him and The Fiend?
See, I think it's actually really refreshing because we've had so long of him being shabby and then like, oh, here's a go, and you could kind of tell when he was going to come back because, wait a minute, he's a general manager, but he's growing his hair out. But I mean, I was there at the genesis of the true Yes movement, not the fabricated one that the WWE did at WrestleMania 28 when he just got clobbered by Sheamus. And yeah, it just, I don't know, I think there's a curse with Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan because how many programs have they had now where it's kind of like, oh, this could be good. Is he in the Wyatt family? Is he going to do this? And then just, another wet fart. And I just think it's going to just be, yet again, something that we might get some good moves out of Bryan, and I don't know what Bray's going to do. Is he going to be the Fiend? Is he going to be Happy Laughing Boy? Is he going to be someone else? Is he going to deliver some ice cream? I don't know. But at this point, I just feel like I don't want to see it. Maybe give the Universal title to Bryan so we can be like, oh, now I've had the World Heavyweight, the WWE, and the Universal title. But I just don't see this or any of the Fiend stuff going much further because, yes, it's a cool, mystical thing. But like, I think you harken back to The Undertaker. He had to reinvent himself after 5 years. We're now in such an accelerated pace that we're already trying to reinvent the Fiend less than a year out. And then think another year time, like it's not going to be the same. And yeah, back to Daniel Bryan. I'm excited to have him back, but I don't think just shaving his head is going to do anything for him just yet.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It feels like everything to do with the Fiend that I've seen inside the ring. I think a lot of the Firefly Funhouse early segments were absolutely tremendous. It just feels like since he's debuted in the ring, it's the old Bruce Pritchard thing. Fantastic gimmick, great talker, works in theory, and then the bell rang. So yeah, it's all a bit of a shame all round. I just can't get excited about anything to do with the Bray Wyatt character, particularly after last night's really bizarre match that just didn't feel, I know it wasn't a title match, but it didn't feel remotely like it was connected to a top line picture, which it was meant to be. Just weird. Daniel Bryan looked haunted, in my opinion, behind the eyes. He looks like a deeply unhappy man as it pertains to WWE creative, and who can blame him? That match was rotten last night, and he knows he's got him next. Anyway, I'll be Michael Sidgwick.
I'll be Ben-Roy Turner.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to more news updates. Hopefully, we get a far more positive one on Kairi Sane. Again, like, share, subscribe. We get told to say this multiple times. We will see you soon.